Palestinians we're still seeing.
Yeah, and we can speak about that if you want to. We can
Yeah, of course.
dive into the actual details of that.
So the thing here is that, look, Hamas.
It's not one-sided. There's blood on both sides.
Of course, look.
There's blood on Palestinian hands. There's blood on Israeli hands.
Look, when there's a war taking place, of course, of course.
Injustice on both
I'm
sides.
not gonna come and say there's only one person doing the blood. However, but Sam, we also need to make clear another thing as well. The disproportionate response of a superpower, the fourth biggest army on the planet, being given weapons by NATO and Europe, arming them to their teeth, having tools like Pegasus? Was it Pegasus?
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah, the spy.
The spy software that you can have on your phone, and then nobody even knows, and you're hearing. Technologically, they know if somebody, I was at Jordan, they know if somebody crosses that border, even a cockroach gets blown to bits using lasers. Yeah, and here you've got Hamas running around, going in tunnels and this and that. Look, you cannot compare a superpower to people building tunnels underneath, and then the superpower when they get a reaction from people that they are oppressing, because the people that are fighting back, do you say that the people fighting back are only Hamas?
Sorry?
The people fighting back, do you believe they're only Hamas?
No.
There are other Palestinian resistance forces, So the way the media is saying and the way certain politicians are framing it, it's false. It's an injustice.
Can I quickly come in?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, so, okay. I think the thing is that, and I totally understand it, when you see so many lies on the media, and they're basically immediate, just like Palestinian, Hamas, evil, Israel, we stand with Israel, right? I get why, therefore, when somebody else critiques Hamas, it's easy to assume that they're going on with that narrative. But I guess Sam and I, all we're trying to say is, if we're taking a holistic approach to what is the future to stop innocent people dying, right? We can fully acknowledge the disproportionality. We can fully acknowledge Israel's place for 70 years. We can fully acknowledge starting and collateral not being collateral. All of that tick. But we're saying, if we want to make progress, we're also going to have to acknowledge, granted proportionally smaller, but we're still going to have to acknowledge things that like Hamas has done, or other things that have exacerbated violence and have led actually to more suffering for young Palestinian people. And we're saying, regardless, Jew, Muslim, Christian, anybody, Israel, Palestinian, whatever, if we want a future of peace for them, we need to be able to condemn both and remove the kind of emotional charge out of it.
I'd take one step forward. I'll take one step forward. Let me know if you disagree with this, This might be kind of adding to your point.
I'm going to speak next time.
Yeah, of course you can. You can speak now if you want. So the point that I wanted to say, because it related with your point, which is that international law, before you start condemning this or that, there's you've got people that will be siding with Israel, you've got people that will be siding with Palestinians or whatnot. There is an somewhat objective, arguably objective, international law. You have international law, you've got the Rome Statute, you've got the Geneva Convention, you've got this or that. Now, if we put certain things in place, then if we're asking, okay, what's the next step? Well, how about we look at international law, the thing that's actually been agreed by many countries, and if we're seeing that you're telling an entire group of people to go from the north to the south, firstly, you shouldn't be asking a mass of people and giving them, 24, 48 hours to move. You actually cannot do that.
We agree that was wrong.
But here's what I'm saying. But Sam, here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that when international law agrees with that, we need to firstly find out why is Israel not following international law. That's the first thing. Number two, who's supporting Israel? You've got superpowers like America that are saying, you know what, they can do whatever they want, they can do no wrong. So when you've got that going on, I get, okay, you want to condemn Hamas, but I'm saying this is bigger than Hamas.
We all But here's what I'm going to say.
Go ahead.
Here is the difference, or I hope that what I'm trying to say. If Netanyahu is a bad leader, let's replace him. Okay, and when I say if, There's going to be people who say they like some of what Netanyahu's saying. There's going to be people saying Netanyahu's bad. Whatever side of the coin that you find yourself on.
Yeah.
If he's a bad leader, let's replace him and put someone else better in there. And so when I'm looking at Hamas and I'm saying, look, they have mismanaged some of their power. Okay. The Hamas leaders are currently in Qatar with their multiple wives just chilling while their citizens are suffering. This is not cool. If these people are mismanaging their leadership, they should be replaced by better leaders. And then I can also say Israel, maybe they've been too aggressive in some situations. Maybe they shouldn't have been bombing indiscriminate residential buildings. None of us support this. We've been very consistent with that. But if their leadership is poor, let's replace them with leaders who follow international law.
And how do you think you can replace leaders? Do you just think the international community? No, but
Israel is a democracy. They can vote them out of position and put someone else in there.
Just like the way you said that there are people who will support Netanyahu. So you can have another election, and if Netanyahu gets elected again, we're back to the square one, aren't we? So democracy is not the way you think it works.
As you just said before,
what?
70% of Israel don't even want Netanyahu in the position of power right now. That's what
but you forgot the bit that they are actually backed.
We're speaking consistently.
No, they're backed by superpowers who can manipulate the situation, even the voting, if they wanted to. Democracy is not like democracy like the way you think it is.
Let's try and stay concrete. What I'm saying is, let's be consistent. If Israel does something bad, let's condemn them. If Hamas does something bad, let's condemn them. And if the Palestinians do something bad in the West Bank, which antagonizes situations and leads to deaths,
by the way, do you think
wrong. If the IDF soldiers go in and kill 200 civilians, that's also wrong.
Instead of you saying,
let me answer your thing somewhat directly then, yeah?
Be consistent.
Can I just make a quick point? Instead of saying replace the leaders,
I think Hamas should go. That's my position.
Well, I think Netanyahu should go as well.
Great. So that's democracy.
So how do you get rid of them? How do you get rid of the wrong leaders? Okay, you do not just wait till the next election when you get rid of. When you see someone, and including whether it's Muslim, non-Muslim, Jewish, Christian, doesn't matter who it is, where in the world it is. We have the International Criminal Code for a reason. When they commit, crimes,
and then America keeps vetoing any progress. That's the problem.
And
whether Netanyahu's there or whether Netanyahu's not there. So it's the same with Hamas.
Bring them to justice.
I know you're focused on the Hamas thing. That's why I want to answer it directly. Yeah.
We can talk about Israel. I don't have an issue with that.
No.
But I just
Let me answer your point because you mentioned it a couple of times. So I want to
crystal clear.
Let me address
this. This is not a situation where we're just going to say they're victims, therefore they can go in.
Let me address it.
That's not right.
Because once I've addressed that point,
bring them to the ICC. Simple as
so
that.
when I've addressed it, then hopefully we can move forward. The election that actually took place with Hamas happened a long time ago. Yeah, and the thing is, the constant mowing of the grass, which is a term that's used to constantly kill off anyone who reaches a certain age after a certain amount of time because there's a threat, therefore we got to kill off. Bro, you're not allowing a group of people to prosper enough that they can sit together and say, okay, you know what, this isn't working for us. But the thing is, for us to sit here in comfortable England to say, you know what, we think Hamas this, we think Hamas that. I'm saying, firstly, there was a time. Again, we're not saying Hamas is this or Hamas is that. We're just speaking on a factual basis. We're not saying this group is right, this group is wrong. What we're saying is people were very quick to say Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. Based upon the situation that was transpiring and the way the news was going.
I'd also say that.
And you're more than welcome to do that. People were very quick to say, Gandhi is a terrorist.
There's no virtue in going to a kibbutz community and killing people.
But Sam, here's what I'm saying.
Using that principle.
But here's what I'm saying.
Every single prime minister of this country who waged a war, who has committed war crimes,
actually, let me
should all be brought to ICC.
Let me undercut that. Yeah. When you say...
Exactly. No. But who has done it? That's the thing.
Wait, let me just quickly make this point.
If Churchill does wrong, he's done wrong, we can condemn him, we can bring him to court, no problem.
But no one does it.
And let's make this clear. When America went into Iraq and Syria and killed 1 million people, that was terrorism. It was evil.
Okay, so Sam,
which of the leaders were brought to justice?
There's one thing we need to determine.
I don't have the power to do that, but I can call a spade and say it's
wait. We need to determine one thing. When you're saying that they've killed innocent people, what are you basing that upon?
What do you mean?
When you're saying Hamas has killed people at this rate, have beheaded, do you believe they beheaded 40 babies?
to me, that's not relevant. They killed people inside the kibbutz community.
No, that news story that was let me just finish my point.
Story is a red herring.
Let me finish my point, then you tell me if it's a red herring or not, yeah? The story that was on the front page of every single pretty much newspaper in this country, that was being led by major anchors, and the story that they ran with, and that even Biden said, yes, I've seen the evidence of 40 beheaded babies, and then the White House spokesman had to come out and say, no, he didn't actually see them. That's an example of something that was claimed that Hamas did. That's an example. I'm giving you a case study. Do you accept that they killed 40, that they beheaded 40 babies?
Here's what I'm going to say. I don't know.
Okay, that's a good, honest.
I haven't seen the evidence. I don't know.
Okay, fantastic.
What I can say is they went into the kibbutz community and they killed innocent people. What I can say is there are around 200 plus hostages that have been taken. These are more concrete facts.
So do you think everyone who was killed?
So with regards to the civilians, what evidence do you have that majority of those civilians were non-combatants?
So you think they went into the kibbutz community?
No, I'm just asking you.
I think the evidence is
The evidence is more compelling that
like
they
if
weren't.
you say
Which
They
evidence?
weren't IDF.
From where?
The
Which
evidence
evidence?
that's come through media.
Yeah, from who though? Where's the media getting it from?
All the major news organizations.
Yeah, where are they getting it from?
It is the same media who
It's
said about
like
the 40.
no. It's like the occupier. You know what? It's like the occupier saying, you know what? This has happened to us. Believe us.
Listen, what's happening? No, wait.
That's why we're taking it with a pinch of salt.
We agree with
Stop.
But it's so complex. We can't tease it apart
How many
right now.
people have died in the Gaza Strip over the past 40 days? How many?
It's come out. Israel has accepted 12,000.
Well, I don't believe that.
Well, that's something that Israeli authorities have
Why should
accepted.
we trust them?
You don't have to trust
Have
them.
you seen the bodies?
You don't have to trust them. I've undercut you.
Have you seen the bodies?
I've said you don't have to trust them.
Have you seen the bodies?
But he's already answered your question.
I said you don't have to trust them.
Why do you believe
What I'm saying is, I don't doubt the fact that it's been over 10,000. But I'm saying we can dispute any statistics.
And that's what I'm
Do
saying.
you believe 1,400 died?
I'm
in
saying
Israel?
you can. I agree with you. We can
asking, do you
dispute.
believe-
We
By
can
the way,
dispute any statistics.
It's now 1,200.
Yeah. We can.
I'm saying.
It's come down.
What the point is,
We can
whenever you see it,
dispute. We can dispute any statistics.
course you can.
But when you take categorical statements like this is a terrorist, that's not a terrorist. This is
That's
this.
not a terrorist.
That's why I'm saying that. It's too early for us to give categorical statements that this person's a terrorist, that person's not a terrorist.
Go ahead.
We have to go through footage.
Go ahead.
So, I think the problem is that right here, right now, and even if we had laptops on us and everything, it's going to be insanely difficult to like tease apart what actually happened, right? And I think we both have the humility to say we don't know the exact numbers.
Exactly,
right?
and that's fair.
Fine.
And
And I
we'll
would
accept
also
that.
add on
Yeah,
top
yeah.
of that,
No
I know
worries.
you're saying like from an armchair position it's quick to condemn people and so on. I think you can both, I would say honestly, if I was in a position of being in Gaza, in Palestine, whatever, I could fully understand the anger and I could understand if I didn't have my Christian morals or had other moralities, I might take up arms and fight. Okay?
100%.
I'm not going to bash that and be like, you guys are...
And we can't blame
easily
the
would do
Palestinian
that.
citizens for hating Israel. We can't
I have
blame them.
family who've been in war
way.
situations and they still are, I understand the pain, right? What I'm saying is though, is that if we want to move forward and we go past, we can't get the exact numbers, but what we do have is we can say, okay, blood has been shed on both sides.
Absolutely.
I will happily concede that Israel has done incalculably more and for 70 years, and I can say that they've put for Hamas and that Hamas isn't in the West Bank, blah, 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 blah.
One correction. In 1948, when the war started, the Allied Arab forces actually triggered that conflict. So it's not always the aggressor. So we've got to acknowledge that. But keep going.
Okay, but all I want to say is that when we are saying how do we stop
That's
innocent people
disputed
dying,
as well, though. By the way, yeah.
And we can dive into that.
Yeah,
right
if we want to say how do we stop innocent people dying, it needs to be the case that when someone raises a criticism of something like Hamas or the non-Israeli authorities, that there isn't always the knee-jerk reaction to why you're ignoring what Israel is doing. When we're not.
I didn't say that, by the way, yeah.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
But there's tons of people who are doing that and they should be condemned. But let's condemn Israel. Let's condemn what Hamas is doing as well. Let's understand there's nuance. There's pain and there's suffering on both
But in
sides.
terms-
But how do we?
My
move
friend, look,
forward?
in terms of the
I think the best
ceasefire,
thing you said
right
was
now,
to remove
right
the
now the only
settlements.
people,
That's concrete.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you.
Settlements,
If
at some
someone,
point,
if someone's
Palestine
been doing
needs to be
something for 70 years,
acknowledged as a state.
if someone's been doing something for 70 years, they've been violating international law. America has been vetoing any progress because they've been backing their friend. Then there needs to be sanctions.
It's not been one-sided.
Wait. There needs to be sanctions on Israel there needs to be sanctions in America.
You just presented a one-sided narrative that
No.
it's just been Israel the aggressor.
For, no, but if you see
two-sided.
no.
So you're going to
For the last 100 years.
Occupied by the
You're
occupier.
applying a narrative that isn't accurate.
So Israel is not the occupier.
Who is violating international law?
It's not black and
What
white,
part's
that's what we're
occupied?
saying.
What part's occupied?
Well, right now, I'm answering. If you wait for the answer, calm down. I know you're emotional. Gaza has been occupied. Okay. Like I told you several times before, they can't even have water and food going in and out without the permission of the Israelis. So right now, the people who can introduce ceasefire or who can initiate ceasefire are the Israelis who don't want to. Okay? What I'm saying, the international community, all of them, all throughout the world, you have had so many rallies, so many protests in America, throughout the world, in Europe, in London, some of the biggest protests, nearly 1 million people marched the other day. All of them are saying ceasefire now. The only people refusing are the Israelis.
How about that being the first step?
And here's my response. No. The first step is releasing the hostages. No. The first step is releasing the hostages.
Which hostages?
How are you going to
All
release
of
the
Gaza are
hostages when it's raining bombs?
All of Gaza are hostages.
And what about the Hannibal Directive?
Wait.
Palestinian children in prison before October the 7th.
Yeah.
Let me say something.
What about the Palestinian hostages?
Why the Palestinians?
Sam, do you know that all of Gaza is hostages? They cannot go in and out without the permission of their occupiers. Yeah.
I feel like we've achieved
Okay, but
that.
would you agree that the
I'm saying-
hostages Israel has taken, that should still be condemned as well?
I'm saying before we get a ceasefire.
As long as we're consistent.
Yeah,
I can say
we need to bring
Gaza
the
is
hostages
hostages.
The reason.
Sorry, say that again.
I'm saying,
as well.
before
It didn't
the
happen in a
ceasefire
vacuum, as I
happens,
told you.
I know,
Hamas
but they
needs
should
to
both
release
be
the
condemned.
hostages before a ceasefire can be negotiated.
Yeah,
That's my point.
how are you going to release hostages when Israel, have you heard of something called the Hannibal Directive? So Hannibal Directive is when Israel will kill its own hostages. There's been peer-reviewed cases of Israel killing its own hostages because they've realized that the hostages have been used as like a trading commodity of sorts, and that's why they actually kill their own hostages.
See, I'm not. What you just said there is something I need to look into.
Yeah, fair
What
enough.
I'm saying very generally is before we shout ceasefire, Hamas needs to release the hostages that
No,
are
because
in
what
place,
I've just said,
and then
Sam,
we can discuss
what I've
negotiations about
said,
ceasefire.
what I've said, because
And also, what we also have to factor in is Hamas haven't stopped firing since October 7th. They've been consistently firing into Israel.
Yeah.
So ceasefire needs to happen on both sides,
When-
not just one
yeah,
side.
well, look,
you can't
when-
just say we're going to stop firing and you can continue.
no, because the
it doesn't work like that.
exactly, it doesn't. And yeah. So that's why, Sam.
Thank you as well.
Yeah, it's all right, sorry. So the thing with a ceasefire is, a ceasefire, of course, has to be done on both sides. You can't have a ceasefire on one side, and the other side, obviously, is continuously bombing. Now, here's one thing. The other thing is that when you say release the hostages, yeah, and where the hostages are coming from, and you've got something like the Hannibal Directive that is going to curtail the releasing of hostages and the safety of the people, and etc., even of the hostages, that's a thorn in the paw. That's the issue.
I
That's a
am not
problem.
convinced that Israel are going to kill their own hostages.
They have actually already.
They have already done this.
Missiles, you can say that.
Yeah,
I'm saying,
if you
No,
indiscriminately
like
bomb
directly.
Yeah, of course.
Gaza,
In fact,
then obviously those people, they don't know where they're
there's visible evidence of the rave
I'm saying
of the
intentionally. They're not gonna
IDF
do it
using cars and using their own civilians as shields. So when certain things get mentioned, we have to be very accurate. And I agree with actually what you're saying. I don't want to detract from that point, which is that look, if we're what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Now the thing is that there have been many instances of the past, where Palestinians have taken a step back. Yeah, they're saying, you know what, to achieve peace, let's do this and let's do that. And they've been bitten again and again and again. Settlements. The two-state solution. The two-state solution is something that the British government has been pushing forward, but anybody who suggests this now fails to understand about how bad the settlements actually are. And when something's been said on national television that look, this is illegal, according to international law, and nothing's getting done about it, you'll have to excuse the people of Palestinians
100%.
that, you know what, they're saying that if international law is not being taken into consideration, that we need to take things into our own hands. And here's when things get messy.
What do you mean by into our own hands? What do you mean by
So into our own hands is what the United States says, that the occupied force has the right to defend itself. Has a right to
And what
arm
does
the
that look
defense.
like in practice? What is this Palestinian self-defense look like in practice? Suicide bombing?
Self-defense. Does that come under self-defense? No, I'm asking you.
I'm asking you.
Could it be a form of self-defense?
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Self-defense,
Look.
suicide bombings,
If we're coming to an objective, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we want to come to an objective answer, then I've given you an objective definition, which is by the United Nations.
Yeah, and I'm saying, what does that look like?
And that's what I'm saying. Then we need to go to that statute and we need to see what they've defined. But of course, just like suicide bombing is not something that Hamas would be doing if you've got these giant Apache helicopters coming and decimating. We're talking about Palestine.
Okay, you're saying both.
We're talking about Palestine in general. Yeah, we're talking about. Yeah, we're
speaking about settlements in 1 minute.
No, I'm talking about the violation of international law. Yeah. No, that's the wait, Sam. Let me just finish the point. So I'm going to finish it very quickly, which is that look, if there's no way of somebody enforcing international law, yeah, it keeps things get ignored, things get vetoed. The occupied people will not give a monkey's, frankly. Yeah, and if you want progress to happen, then how about we take international law seriously?
We agree.
And there needs to be sanctions done on the United States
To motivate Israel to comply.
and sanctions when Israel violates international law. So, yeah.
And I get
go ahead.
10 seconds. And I can fully sympathise, again, just to say, not from like an armchair position, that if they're pardon my French, if they're taking the piss for like 70 years and they're having called out internationally but not having the law applied, I can get why then going to physical arms makes sense and is often like even morally justifiable within certain constraints. I guess what Sam and I are trying to ascertain now is what does that specifically look like? What kind of physical resistance is justifiable? What can we? Because we're both not pacifists.
I think he's already
Are you pacifist?
No,
we're not pacifists.
I thought you said what?
No, we're both not.
We're not
Not
pacifist.
pacifists. So we're saying like some combat
Suicide
can be
bombing is not that.
But we don't
Suicide
know
bombing is not
what
resistance.
What is
That's not
legitimate
resistance.
That's what we're trying to find out.
Are we in agreement on that?
Look,
Suicide bombing isn't resistance.
I've given you the criteria of the United Nations. Of course, I don't believe me committing suicide bombing is self-defense.
I would hope not. Yeah.
So I mean,
But I'm saying, what does that look like in everyday life? What does resistance look like according to your understanding in the past?
it doesn't look. If you're asking about something that's objective, you can't switch from something that the UN says to then what I think. What I think is irrelevant if we want something practical.
I'm saying, taking the UN's definition into consideration, what does the Palestinian
According to the
resistance
UN,
look like
you're supposed
in practice? That's what I'm trying to understand.
according to the UN, you are supposed you're able to take up arms for resistance. According to the UN itself.
Yeah,
But like,
taking up weapons
Do you agree
for
with that?
yeah.
But we're saying, what does that
Do you
look like
agree
in
with that?
practice? I'm trying to give me a case study.
They didn't give a specific term.
Yeah, that's what we
kind
didn't-
of arms resistance is permitted by the UN itself.
And I'm saying, give me a case study of what that looks like.
A case study.
Give me a case
What
study.
if somebody comes to kill you, you kill them back?
No, but for Palestine,
What kind of case
That's
study
how it
do you
looks
want?
like.
Imagine
Eye
you're-
for an eye.
Wait, imagine you're in Jenin, you're in Ramallah, whatever. Is it self-defense to say, okay, there's an IDF soldier, I can just shoot them over there because, well, let me finish, because of the oppression and the part that they're playing in their government that is hurting my people? Or does self-defense only rely upon direct combat? So that IDF soldier's pointing a gun at me and my family, I can fight back. Like, where's the
Have you
last
actually
of
looked at
self-defense?
Have you actually looked at the UN resolution?
No,
which
no, I
tells
haven't,
exactly.
I haven't.
So that's what you need to go and look at, because you see.
But it doesn't give
no.
And then it's like
Exactly,
Hashim was saying, international law has to be taken into consideration as well. And international law is what things are going to be measured by. Is that self-defense? Is that not self-defense?
Because next you'll be asking me what is arms resistance. You see what I mean?
That's why we
Yeah,
are
exactly.
asking
So
that, yeah.
what you need to do is, instead of you asking us,
Yeah.
ask the
I'm
people.
curious.
Wait, listen.
Yeah, sorry.
Ask the people who actually stated this as a law, which is the United
When
Nations.
you're using it in the discussion and you're
So
not
I'm
defining
using
the application.
no. You asking for specific stuff.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah.
Specifics is what we have to look at.
If you're looking, if somebody tells you arms resistance is allowed, what do you think? No, wait. Just answer the question. When somebody tells you arms resistance is permitted, what do you understand?
They can take guns and they can fight.
Good.
Okay, fantastic.
Now wait. Give me
And let
specifics.
me ask you a
No. Give me specifics.
And let me ask you a question.
You see, I'm turning the table on them.
But there's
Let
a
me give you a
reason why we're probing
No,
the
but
specifics.
if you're
Because we're
going
trying to-
generic, then we can answer quite easily.
question.
But then when you start saying specifics, then you need to ask the
Yeah.
people who actually postulated the law, which is the UN.
The reason why.
I can give you examples if you
You can
want.
what? You can give me what?
Examples.
Examples.
Listen, if we say, for
I think
example,
the question is, what would Jesus do?
if we say, for example,
Turn the other cheek?
I'm also just
No.
curious, even Islamically, or what you guys personally.
It won't be turned the
let
other
me say one thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go on.
If we're in a situation where the UN says, international law says, you are not supposed to be bombing hospitals because they are considered protected infrastructure in a country, and I as a country have started to bomb hospitals, we can say this country on this war started to bomb hospital infrastructure.
Yeah.
That is wrong by international law. We can be given an actual case study example, and we can all agree. So we're not asking
Because that would be a war crime.
if you want, that's fine.
But then there is,
And-
but then it's nuanced in the sense that there are certain conditions. If
So
those
when we
apply,
ask
then it
you-
won't be a war.
When we ask you, what does proper armed resistance look like in Gaza and West Bank? What does the correct use of that right look like?
We'd have to look at international
That's
law.
what I'm asking.
We'd have to look at
And that's why I
international law
told
to
you,
find
you
out.
can't- when you're asking specifics, then you
I
need
just
to
gave you an
ask.
example.
Then you need to ask the people who postulated.
I don't know
the law, not
international
us.
law, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't postulate it.
I'd have to look into that.
For example, look,
That's not a problem.
there are clear statements as to what constitutes a war crime. Yes, right now, many of the things what Israel is doing would be considered as a war crime. But the question is this: who would implement it when every time it goes to the UN, it's been vetoed?
Yeah.
See what I mean? So we are actually, all the questions that we're asking here,
slightly
for the sake of justice, is irrelevant. Because none of what we think is justice will be applicable, because every time we bring the culprit to justice, he is set free automatically by this, powers to be.
And then on top of that, because Palestine is recognised as a state a lot of the time,
But
they're not.
by a few countries. It's
but-
recognized by many
No,
countries.
but what I mean is,
as a
like in
legitimate
terms like
state.
on the UN, when they then say, okay, when they're bringing it into their considerations of justice, they then don't allocate it properly because they've missed that.
Do you remember during the Oslo Accord when they were actually working towards a two-state solution? Yes? Their Prime Minister, Yitzhak Rabin, was assassinated by a Jew. Not by a Palestinian. Why was that? Because I don't think they want peace. I don't think they do.
And you see,
I think the only thing that will satisfy them is only if all the Palestinians vacated that country, which they consider to be theirs.
what we can do.
Because remember, it was the Canaanites who are actually, many of the Palestinians are the descendants of the Canaanites. And according to even your Bible, it says that Israelis actually oppressed them to the extent where, and this is recently, like Netanyahu used the Amalekites as the example. And the Amalekites were wiped out because God told the Israelis to completely annihilate them. The men, women, children, and even the livestock was not to be spared.
Children, babies.
Yes? So this was, according to them, the command from their God. Now, if they can justify using the Bible to annihilate and genocide an entire population,
That's not going to happen. Gaza's not.
well, it happened to the Amalekites, did it not?
No. Listen.
And the justification for them is the Bible. The justification, if you let me finish, I'll finish the point. The justification for them was, again, this is what God told us. See what I mean? So they can always go back to the Bible to justify any genocide, any oppression, or any massacre, or even the babies.
I take issue with the.
This is 1 Samuel 15.
I know.
It's okay because you haven't applied genocide to this current Gaza conflict, so I'm not going to attribute that to you. But I do take.
Do you not think it's
No, it's not
genocide?
genocide.
So who are the Palestinians? It is a particular community who is being wiped out, and just because they happen to be in that place, just like the Amalekites.
Hold on 1 second. Let me speak. So I wouldn't describe the 10,000 or so estimated casualties as genocide, because the term genocide.
But we're not justifying it, we're just saying technically.
I'm saying it's not genocide. The army. Wait. How many have died in Yemen? Where is your outrage?
Wait, finish your point.
Actually,
Where is your outrage?
a lot of Muslims have actually
your point.
put out
I'm going to finish my point.
atrocities everywhere.
Armenian genocide. Okay, 1 to 2 million Armenians killed by the Ottomans in 1918. That is a legitimate genocide. That happened. They tried to literally destroy the entire nation without any recourse. What is happening right now?
Why is that a genocide and not this? Also, it is a number. Wait, where did you get the definition? definition of genocide based on numbers.
And the intention of the Ottoman Turks was to wipe out the entire race of Armenians.
Based on many of the politicians in Israel, is to wipe out the Palestinians.
That's not happening. That is
so wait, I'm using your definition. I'm using your definition of intention.
Yeah, okay, but
this isn't a genocide. It's not a genocide.
But they have made it clear in the intention.
Okay, now, hear the other side of the argument, yeah? Hear the other side of the argument. You've got like about 2.2 million people in Gaza, yeah? Living in Gaza. Now suddenly, that 2.2 million has been told to come south. If you don't come south, you're going to be blown into smithereens. Yeah, which is illegal. Now in the south, documentation has come out. Yeah, documentation has come out that okay, our intention is actually to shift them to tents in Egypt. Yeah, this has actually come from Sinai. So now when that's being said, on the one hand that's the intention. On the other hand, it's like, you know what? They're slowly going to encroach in the north. Then you've got this 2.2 million in a little tight land, and they're not allowed to go in and out to such a degree. So to go further, even the Scottish First Minister's mother-in-law, yeah, even she wasn't allowed to leave, and she was crying on camera. And people are like, look, what is this going on? To some people, that was the first time they even kind of understood what was going on. And this population now, there's bombs being dropped on this population. There are hospitals that are being indiscriminately attacked. Every day we're seeing different news stations showing us decapitated babies. Now, and then further, you have people that are into genocide studies. Yeah, that's why, with respect, when you're saying I don't think it's a genocide, yeah, with respect, I don't really care about your opinion. No. Sam, let me be consistent, otherwise you're going to get offended.
I'm going to let you speak.
Yeah. The reason why I'm saying that, because if you just cut me halfway, then it's going to be like, yeah, I don't care about your opinion. In that regard, just like you shouldn't care about my opinion in this regard. Let's take the opinion of the people that are experts in the field of genocide, and they are in their droves, yeah, unanimously pretty much agreeing that this is a genocide taking place, and or this is coming up to a genocide. Regardless, but the word genocide is definitely on the table. For us to say to take it off completely, I think that's a bit unfair.
Can I quickly come in?
I need to say
and if you have the Israeli,
10 seconds.
If you have Israeli politicians saying they are animals, they should all be killed, they're openly saying this, not hidden.
And that's a very good point. He's saying flatten Gaza. You know, they're all human animals, dehumanizing them, you know, make it zero, don't let anyone survive. That's, I just wanted to add one more.
Just to say, okay, so there's a difference between official statements and then like statements they have also made. So I think Israel's official statement, they wouldn't want to officially say we're trying to wipe out Gaza, right? Even if they are trying to do that.
So you're saying
the official statement has been made.
I'm saying.
So when a politician makes a statement, is that not official?
No, not necessarily.
Why?
Because a politician could be caught off camera, not realising they're on camera.
No, they're saying this.
Yeah, it was on camera.
It's in the cabinet.
I need to see that. Okay, but what I'm saying is, I'm willing to fully accept that it could be.
No, but that was his criteria.
Wait. I'm willing to accept that it could be a genocide. I need to just look at technical definitions. I'm not
without researching your baby.
I'm trying to make a point.
You're concluded without research.
My ambiguity over whether it's a genocide or not isn't because I'm in any doubt that it's a genocide or any doubt that the numbers are insanely high.
Need to study.
I just need to look at
That's fine, no problem.
Yeah,
at least I respect that.
Yeah. The other thing is, I got about 10 minutes late for church, so I just want to quickly finish with this.
Sure.
Well, I think we agree more than we disagree, 100%. I
agree.
I think part of the reason I wanted to do this here at Speaking School is because it's one of those things where Muslims and Christians hopefully can actually, like, we disagree on like faith issues a lot, but on this issue it's so abundantly clear that we can agree on this as a matter of justice. That's what it's really encouraging to see. I think from
your statements have been very encouraging as well.
I think from me and Sam's perspective, the idea,
and Sam's as well, of course.
The thing is that we want to say, okay, let's be consistent in condemning both sides, and let's say, okay, we're willing to acknowledge also one side's longer, more extreme, greater levels of injustice, but it doesn't mean that we can't not also condemn the other side. And when I, for example, want to condemn aspects of Hamas, not from an armchair, not pretending like if I wasn't in their position, I wouldn't do the same thing. I might do. If I was oppressed for years and years and years, had family killed, I would be exceedingly angry and wanting to take a loss, right? I don't pretend otherwise. 100%. But from just a purely rational, consistent position, I have to say, some things they're doing are definitely unjust, and also not helping the Palestinians either. And if we want to move forward, we've got to say, okay, this thing's wrong on both sides, and what can we do?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, condemnation is clear. Look, when you read the Quran, it says that anyone who kills someone unjustly, yes, killing innocent is something as if you've killed the whole of mankind. Now, this killing babies in any context is wrong, regardless of who does it. And this is something that the Muslims have consistently said, whether on TV, off TV, online, offline, all the time. But when when a people, sometimes you have to understand their psychological state, which you correctly alluded to just now. Yes? When you are being consistently bombed and your generations so right now, you know what Israel is doing? Indiscriminate bombing of the people. I'm pretty sure what Hamas did now, maybe in the future you'll have people who are doing worse. Why? Because they saw it in front of their own eyes what happened to their women and children.
I think
it's not helping anyone. It's not helping the future generation. In particular, when you start bombing children indiscriminately, it will not stop the vicious cycle of violence. It'll only make it worse in the future.
One thing interesting as well, I think Elon Musk said this as well actually, like, forget morality, just pure strategy, even from Israel's perspective. If for every one Hamas soldier you kill, you end up creating two more because they're
not 100 to 1 ratio.
Exactly, because they're so fed up with the injustices,
100 to 1 ratio,
then you're still not creating a sustainable solution. But anyway, I just want to finish with that.
But hey, another point that I wanted to mention was that, when you make Hamas the center of what's going on, I think that,
which I wouldn't.
I'm not saying, I'm not saying you are. I think that's a gross injustice, because what's happening is that here is a group that something happened. News is coming out, oh, there's 40 beheaded babies, then it gets proved to be false. Oh, this happened at the rave, oh, that's not necessarily the case. So again, at the moment, it's the heat of conflict. We can't say that this is certain, that's not certain, but there are certain peer-reviewed cases, where, like Operation Cast Lead, Operation Protective Edge, these are peer-reviewed case studies of Israeli oppression that no one can say, you know what, there's difference of opinion, there's this, there's that. Those are case studies that are used by academics.
We condemn them when they do evil.
And that's why I'm saying, look, what I'm saying is at this moment in time, things are very up in the air. So for us to make categorical statements and said, no, they've done this. Oh, okay, where have you got that from? Oh, we've got that from Israel. But again, the sources are dubious, and that should also be allowed. Questioning of the sources, that's what I'm saying. That the situation goes back and back and back. But if there's, indiscriminate, committing of war crimes by anyone, that of course needs to be condemned. Thank you, my friend.
All right, look, take care. Thanks for that.
Free Palestine, God bless guys.
Is there anything else you want to say in terms of...
No.
We just want to say free Palestine. Take care, mate.
Thanks. Take care, Take care. Where's my guy?
Your guys
Oh, you got it, thanks, bro.
I think that is one of your Christian
The what?
guys. Yeah, the black guy.
That's my guy.
I didn't get your point that you were putting me across.
Which point? We were speaking for like 45 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. I just arrived 5 minutes.
Some were Christian. The other group were Christians. We were Muslims. They were saying, look, how do we go forward?
Right.
And then
That's the biggest question.
and then of course we were discussing about international war crimes. We were talking about evidence is being brought forward, different arguments that people are making.